This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, out with the news that BlackRock's chief Larry Fink urges CEOs to stop being so nice to investors, and he sent out a letter to CEOs urging them to think more long term. What do you think of this, man?
I think that he is not thinking on the long term, that the short-term investment can blow up in a bubble. We've seen it all happen. You cannot only guide your business toward the CEOs, it is the investors that make your business. Without the investors, there is no business.
Now, Fink claims too many companies pay too much in dividends and stock buybacks. What do you think of this?
I would like to see their prospectus to see exactly how much they actually buy back. Isn't that insider trading?
Possibly. Now, what should companies do with their money instead of dividends and buybacks?
They should invest it in their local community for the greater good of the society. It is better to feed many than just one.
Now, Fink wants to change the capital gains rate from 1 year to 3 years. Do you think this will help or hurt shareholders?
I think a 3-year investment is a much better deal for shareholders than a 1-year investment for capital gains.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
I have lived on many planes of existence, and this of the Renaissance era is one of my favorites, though I have seemed to leaped into the steampunk era, and I like it so. It is a place I willingly will waste my time in it.
So in closing, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network saying live long and prosper.
And I am Luscious Sweetmeat at your service.
Now, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, out with this news that BlackRock chief Larry Fink urges CEOs to stop being so nice to investors and sends a letter to CEOs urging them to think more long term. What do you think of this, sir?
I do believe that when you are just trying to please those who are giving you the fish, you are not giving people the opportunity to learn to fish so they can take care of themselves. So I completely agree that instead of trying to placate those who are currently in power, they really must think long term and how they to better themselves and how to take care of their brethren and how to take care of their country.
Now, Fink claims too many companies spend too much on dividends and buying back stock. What do you think of this?
It is somewhat of a difficult subject, mostly because of politics. You wish to placate certain people, but then at times it would cost you your own position in the company, and so it's not as simple as black and white as, oh, we'll just do this and just do that. There's so many things, but in the end, who are we really giving the shaft to?
Now, what should companies do with their money instead of dividends and buybacks?
Could you say that one again?
What should companies do with their money instead of dividends and buybacks?
I believe that they should invest it in the community. For once they start putting their money into the community can thrive and grow, and their economy will also grow. So it isn't just about what's going to put more money into my pouch, but what's going to give more money to everyone involved.
Now, Fink wants to change the capital gains rate from 1 year to 3 years. Do you think this will help or hurt shareholders?
Say that again?
Bottom question. Fink wants to change the capital gains rate from 1 year to 3 years. Do you think this will help or hurt shareholders?
If they change it from 1 year to 3 years, I believe that will hurt people in the long run, for there is not enough time for change if things are not going well. And I do believe that people need that opportunity to be able to say that we do not like the way this works, and they should not be waiting 3 years for that opportunity.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
Yes. That is all.
So in closing, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network saying live long and prosper. This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, out with this news that BlackRock's chief Larry Fink urges CEOs to stop being so nice to investors and sends a letter to CEOs urging them to think more long term. What do you think of this, sir?
I believe that my master would be most pleased with this turn of events. He thinks long term in his goals, and you can see how that turned out. We're marketing a franchise.
Now, Fink claims too many companies pay too much in dividends and buying back stock. What do you think of this?
Well, I would advise them to invest more in corporate takeover and hostile armies. That would be my plan. Again, I can only advise with what my master tells me, but following his business strategy has turned out well for all involved.
Now, what should companies do with their money instead of dividends and buybacks?
I'd recommend large battle stations, preferably in space, but to each their own. The sea works as well.
Now, Fink wants to change the capital gains rate from 1 year to 3 years. Do you think this will help or hurt shareholders?
Well, 1 versus 3 years isn't a particularly large amount of time. When you're looking at something more like, say, 16 years, then the quality of your product can substantially decrease.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to the folks out the galaxy?
Trust the Empire.
So in closing, this is Clark Kent saying, live long and prosper. Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, out with the story of BlackRock's chief Larry Fink urges CEOs to stop being so nice to investors by sending a letter to CEOs urging them to think more long term. Now, what do you think of this, my good sir?
I think any CEO that wants to give more libations to the men is a CEO I can endorse.
Now, Fink claims too many companies pay too much in dividends and buying back stock. What do you think of this?
I think any person who wants to give more libations to their people is a person I want to endorse.
Now, what should companies do with their money instead of dividends and buybacks?
Libations.
Fink wants to change the capital gains rates from 1 year to 3 years. Do you think this will help or hurt shareholders?
The only gain should be libation.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
Libation.
Libation.
Yes.
So in closing, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, signing out. Whatever. Okay. Or say what you believe, but say it as a character. This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending. This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending. Out with the news that BlackRock's chief Larry Fink urges CEOs to stop being so nice to investors, sending a letter to CEOs urging them to think more long term. What do you think of this?
I have to say there's actually more important things going on. I don't know if you knew there's like a hole in the sky with demons pouring out of it. I just think investing, you should be investing in the Inquisition. So, yeah.
Now, Fink says, now Fink claims too many companies pay too much in dividends and buying back stock. What do you think of this?
Buying back stock. What you should be buying is stock in the Inquisition, helping us heal the hole in the sky.
Now, what should companies do with their money instead of dividends and buybacks?
Invest in the Inquisition.
Fink wants to change the capital gains rate from 1 year to 3 years. Do you think this will help or hurt shareholders?
Oh, definitely help. But if you're investing your money in the Inquisition, it will definitely help shareholders because we will save the world and fix the hole in the sky.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
Donate to the Inquisition.
In closing, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, signing out. This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, out with the news that BlackRock's chief Larry Fink urges CEOs to stop being so nice to investors and send a letter to CEOs urging them to think more long term. What do you think of this, sir?
I think that companies are, in fact, the ones that provide jobs. And, I don't have a problem with companies doing what they want with the money. If you don't like the company, don't buy the company, don't buy into the stock market, and they will collapse. There's really no problem here. Don't you agree?
Now, Fink claims that too many companies pay too much in dividends and buying back stock. What do you think of this?
I don't own any stock, and my advice to anybody is if you don't like the stock market, if you don't like stock, don't invest in it. Invest in yourself.
Now, what should companies do with the money instead of dividends and buybacks?
Well, they can pass it on to their employees, they can reinvest in their infrastructure, but more important than
closing, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network saying live long and prosper. This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lender with news that BlackRock's chief Larry Fink. This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lender Network out with the news that BlackRock's chief Larry Fink urges CEOs to stop being so nice to investors and sending a letter to CEOs urging them to think more long term. What do you think of this, sir?
I think it's an excellent idea. In fact, we should think of more in terms of giving back to the employees. For one thing, need more time off before the Renaissance hits. And indeed, when one works one's employees too much and one does not think in terms of making things better all around, the entire world suffers.
Now, Fink claims too many companies spend too much on dividends and buying back stock.
Indeed, what they should be doing is investing in their businesses, in exploring possible research and development options.
Now, what should companies do with their money instead of dividends and buybacks?
The thing I mentioned, pay their employees more so that employees can go out there and buy things that help create a better economy.
Now, sign off. Now, what should? Now, Fink wants to change the capital gains rate from 1 to 3 years. Should this help or hurt shareholders?
I think in the short term there might be a little bit of decline, but in the long term, indeed, there will be much great gain for everyone involved.
So, in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
Yes, this is what the way we practiced things 400 years ago. We had it right then. Get with it.
So, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network saying live long and prosper.